Welcome to the DCU sports grounds for the Electric Ireland Sigerson Cup semi-final between DCU, Dóchas, Éireann and UCD. It's not what you'd call an age-old rivalry, but it certainly has built up over the years. You can see Brian Howard is in to enjoy it. It's going to be a belter of a match. It is a crisp night, but it's not a wet night, and the pitch is in a very, very good condition. Both teams warming up as we speak for this 6 o'clock throw-in. The winner will meet either IT Carlow or Letterkenny IT. Those two meet at 7 o'clock in Inniskeen. DCU going through their final warm-ups for this one. Barry Cahill, a former Sigerson Cup player with NUI Maynooth, and of course with UCD, who you reached the Sigerson Cup final with. What are you expecting from this evening?
Expecting a very close match, Oisin. I think both teams are a very high standard. A lot of inter-county players on display tonight that either played under 20 or minor or part of senior setups as well. So when you look down through the teams, sprinkling of a number of players there right around the country. So really looking forward to it. The pitch looks in great condition. For the end of January, the conditions are perfect, and so no teams will have either excuses anyway or playing the weather for it.
Well, as you've mentioned, a galaxy of stars in both teams. Let's have a look at the DCU Dóchas Éireann starting 15. Jordan Morrissey of Carlow is building up quite a reputation, as is Sean Bugler of Dublin right beside him. Kevin Flynn from Celbridge in Kildare likes to get up and down the line, and he can split defences with his running. Of course, Evan Comerford, Stephen Cluxton's understudy, is between the sticks. They've got quite the forward line as well, including Micheál Bannigan, who scored 2-4 against Queens the last day out. He's in between Mark Barry and Brian Stack, who are two strong runners. Paddy Small of Dublin can win ball, and Thomas Edward Donoghue beside him is a very, very decent finisher. For UCD, a lot of recognisable names, including Mike Breen of Kerry and, of course, Liam Flatman of Kilmacud Crokes. The fullback, Mike Breen, as we say, very, very solid. In front of him, Ryan O'Toole from Monaghan can hold the line, but also he's good at orchestrating attacks. Tadar O'Cuffig-Byrne and Barry Dan O'Sullivan provide a lot of height, energy and fitness in midfield. No sign of Conor O'Callaghan. We're not sure if he'll start or not. He is injured at the moment, but what a half-forward line. Ray Connell and Stephen Cohen and Luke Fortune, who was part of the team last year that beat DCU. Barry McGinn at full forward, an excellent finisher, as is Gary Walsh. Well, some of these players very well known, and some of them have got championship game time, including that man, Evan Comerford, the understudy to Stephen Cluxton. And I imagine, Barry, the only man who was disappointed when Stephen Cluxton announced that he was staying on for at least another season under Desi Farrell. Yeah,
that's true, although I think he will get a lot of league game under Desi Farrell this year, particularly with Stephen Cluxton being out and injured for the next few weeks. So he's very similar to Stephen, obviously working with him for the last 4 or 5 years. He loves to get his kickouts off very quickly, so UCD will have to try and push up on his kickouts as much as possible.
And he is Cluxton-esque in his kickouts. There's a good man to fetch some kickouts. It is Tadar O'Cuffig-Byrne from Coola in County Dublin. Another man who will be a big part of Desi Farrell's plans. He's been really impressive at underage level for Dublin in the last couple of years, and of course for Coola in the Senior B and then the Senior A Championship.
Yeah, and with Coola they won the Under-21 Dublin Championship there just before Christmas there against Nafina out in Abbottstown. Yeah, he was part of Jim Gavin's panel last year, so he got a lot of really good experience under his belt. Actually made the 26 for the first All-Ireland final, the drawing game against Kerry. So I think a lot of Dublin supporters are looking forward to see him in a senior jersey over the coming weeks and months.
Well, for DCU Dóchas Éireann, we mentioned their forward line, and this man stands out, Micheál Bannigan from Annamullen in County Monaghan. He has been very decent all year, and you can already see he's getting the eye in for tonight.
Yeah, very reliable free taker, but excellent from play as well. He's a good man for dropping deep and getting on the link ball, but he's also able to get good quality ball into the players inside. And the likes of Paddy Small from Ballymun, again with a lot of experience with the Dublin senior footballers, he likes that quick early ball into him, and I'm sure those two will be trying to link up together as much as possible.
Stephen Cohen was a league winner with Mayo last season. He is a big part of their plans, and James Horan, I know, is a big fan of his. UCD are glad he stayed on. He's doing a Masters this year, and he will hope to go one further with the college. John Divley, his coach beside him, of course, an All-Ireland winner with Galway in 1998. Stephen Cohen, well, he's named at wing forward, and he may play there, but if required, he can go back into the half-back line. He's very versatile.
Yeah, I'd expect him to have a bit more of a free role around that middle third. As you mentioned, he's very experienced in terms of playing Sigerson for the last 2 years and winning All Ireland at minor under 21 level with Mayo. He'll try and establish himself a bit more, I think, with the Mayo senior football team. But yeah, he's going to be very much a key player for UCD tonight.
Stephen Cohen, as we say, very much capable of doing damage to DCU. Brian Fenton, how much would either team love to have him involved?
Yeah, a former UCD Sigerson player himself. It's good to see a few of his, himself and a few of the other Dublin guys here supporting their teammates. But there's a lot of really top inter-county players on display, and you know, it's great to be at the game tonight. It's a local derby. They don't play against each other too often, but even when you look at the management teams in place, there's a very strong Ballymun influence on the DCU one with Paddy Christie there, who's now involved, I think, with the Tipperary senior football squad, along with Davy Byrne and Kevin Leahy from Ballymun. And then, as you mentioned, there's Brian Mullins as part of the background team on the UCD side, with John Divley, who's there, I think, 4 or 5 years now with the UCD Sigerson team, and he's in with Pádraig Joyce with the Galway senior footballers as well.
Desperately disappointed to go out in the semi-final stage last year at UCD. They were beaten by St Mary's, but they gained a measure of revenge in the last round, beating St Mary's after extra time. That was the second time in the competition that they've had to go to extra time. Could fatigue be an issue for UCD because of that?
It could do, but on the flip side, I suppose the management team would have used probably the guts of 20 to 23 players over the last couple of games. So certainly their panel would have been tested, and a lot of players would have got a good game time. So I think the management team, John Divley and his selectors, would be looking at the positives from that regard. And I think if it does go down to the wire or even into extra time again, I'm sure they'll fancy their chances having come through it over the last couple of weeks.
The pitch in absolutely supreme condition. They've done a lot of work to this pitch over the years. I started coming here in about 2003, 2004 to watch matches, and it was a little bit of a mud pile. It was a little bit boggy. Now it's very, very solid underfoot, despite the fact that it's still only January.
Yeah, when Pat Gilroy came in with us, actually, with the Dublin senior footballers in 2009, this is where we started training from spring onwards every year, and Jim Gavin would have used it for the last number of years as well. So yeah, it's unrecognisable to what it was maybe 10 or 15 years ago, but it's a top class facility here. So yeah, it's a great surface for the players tonight.
DCU, Dóchas, Éireann, well, they were beaten and well beaten by UCD last season. Do you think they'll apply direct lessons from that game? Paddy Christie, their manager, would have been disappointed with that, but it's very rarely that DCU will lose a game the same way twice.
Yeah, well, I think with DCU now, the expectation is there to win Sigerson Cups because they've been so successful for the last number of years. They've had a lot of top class players have come through the university over the last sort of 7 to 10 years. But yeah, a lot of guys there who were involved last year, so they're going to try and use that experience. You know, they were somewhat fortunate, I think, to come through the first round against Guards, but they were a lot more impressive here last weekend, so they'll be hoping to build on that performance from last weekend.
Were they too impressive, if that makes any sense? They scored 7 goals against Queens, and sometimes a win like that nearly does more harm than good.
It can do, yeah. I suppose depending on what the conversation and discussion was in the dressing room afterwards, and for the next sort of 24 hours, lads can maybe get a bit caught up in it. But on the flip side, I suppose they might be a bit fresher coming in tonight, given the fact that UCD had to play the full 80 minutes at the weekend. So I suppose you can look at it on both sides.
Very exciting encounter between UCD and St Mary's. It went kind of the way you'd expect it to. St Mary's quite defensive, and UCD having to break them down. But break them down they did in extra time. UCD just getting the final few words in and having a quick chat. I imagine at this stage, Barry, the focus is already switched on, and there's not much that a player will take on board.
No, exactly. I mean, they're well tuned in at this stage, got the warm-up out of the way, and really for any player heading into a game now at this level, they're just looking to get on early ball as soon as possible, do the simple thing with it, try and ease their way into the game, and then take it from there. But I suppose there's always benefit in having a bit of a rallying cry as well just before throw-in to get the juices flowing.
The coin toss is about to happen. The captain for DCU is Brendan McCole from St Knowles and Donegal. The captain for UCD is Stephen Cohen, a man who is as dedicated to his studies as he is his football. And the only reason I know that, Barry, is because the year I went to UCD a couple of years ago for a Masters, he was always in the library. And unlike me, his head was always in the books. He wasn't drifting off onto Twitter or anything like that. No real breeze there this evening, and as I say, it is very dry. The ideal conditions for a game of football, despite the fact that it is January. As you can see, a bit of mist in the air, but it's a great setting for a game of football.
Absolutely. I mean, going back to my own days playing Sigerson, you would have played in a few awful conditions down through the years, and that's probably what you expect around January and February time when you're playing playing football within Ireland. But yeah, it's great conditions tonight, and you know, it should have all the makings for a top quality football performance. As you mentioned there, at the weekend, Queens were somewhat defensive in that game, so it was a bit low score, and I think UCD should benefit if the game is a bit more open tonight compared to last weekend.
And they both have the talent to open teams up.
Exactly, and I'm sure that's going to be spoken about over the last couple of days amongst management teams to try and keep it tight at the back. Don't allow too much space between the full back line and their half back line. Even maybe a couple of the half forwards could probably drop back at some stage as well, just to ensure that they don't concede any early goal. So it'll be interesting to see what the approach is now for the first 10 or 15 minutes.
And just in case you're wondering, just in case this is your first time watching the Electric Ireland Sigerson Cup this season, all the new rules apply, including the black card sin bin and the forward mark. And it has been used to great effect by teams so far. It certainly was by UCC on the first evening against NUI Galway, but of course they were knocked out. It was a surprise to see them knocked out by IT Carlow. Tonight, IT Carlow taking on Letterkenny IT at 7 o'clock in Inniskeen. There will be clips of that game available to watch via the Electric Ireland YouTube channel and social media channels after the game, and you'll be able to watch this back in full as well as all the clips and highlights as well. It is DCU Dóchas Éireann against UCD. It is the Electric Ireland Sigerson Cup semi-final. It should, given the talent that's out there, be a very decent game of football. And we're about to get underway. All we need is a football, a fairly integral part of the process. Although not in some of the teams I played in. There we go. We have the football, we have the players, we have the pitch, we have the cameras on, we have everything we need. We have the lights on as well. A splendid facility, the DCU Sports Grounds. Referee about to throw the ball in. He's kind of facing the bunker side, as they call it here in DCU. To our left is Ballymun, to our right kind of more Glasnevin, and if you go off into the distance, you're going off into Finglas. And immediately a great ball fetched out of the sky as Peadar O'Cuffig-Byrne goes on the attack. That's a lovely crossfielder to Cillian O'Shea of Kilmacud Crokes. O'Shea looking for options, finds one in Hartley. The Kildare man, it's a little bit loose, but it still works out. Luke Fortune. Out it goes to Kennedy. 12 behind the ball for DCU. Barry McGinn played for UCD last year. Here comes Ray Connellan, a real running threat, the Westmeath man. That's a good looping run from Kieran Kennedy of Ballyboden St Enda's, the Leinster Senior Club Championship finalists and winners. Inside it goes. Here's Kennedy. And DCU with a very effective turnover, just in case you're wondering. DCU in the yellow jerseys and UCD in the sky blue. And now coming forward for DCU Dóchas Éireann is Shane Carthy. Not named to start, but he is in the starting 15. Kevin Flynn of Selbridge and Kildare. Flynn loops it off for Thomas Edward Donoghue, Ted as they call him because of his initials. And now it's Paddy Small of Ballymun Kickham's, the Division 1 champions in Dublin this season. Donoghue. He's very patient with the ball. All of these guys are. Declan Monaghan. Away it goes from Shane Carthy. And now recycling is Jordan Morrissey of Éire Óg, another Leinster club finalist this year. Éire Óg unlucky to lose to Ballyboden St Enda's. Corcoran came forward and DCU turn it over. Ray Connellan got his hands on it. Peadar O'Cuffig-Byrne. He's got a bit of everything, Peadar O'Cuffig-Byrne, Barry Cahill. He's got the skills, but he can also just run through as well as run around. Speaking of running, here's Barry McGinn, who's dropped deep. Kieran Kennedy. The UCD bench located on this side of the ground that you were looking from, and the DCU bench on the far side. Here's Stephen Cohen, the captain. Cohen has a runner inside, that's Kennedy. Lots of options there. Has to go back outside that 45, and it's Barry Dan O'Sullivan. Cillian O'Shea. All very measured at the start of this game, yet to get our first score. That's a good break. Can they find a way through? DCU have plenty back. But the shot does get away. It's not particularly well caught by Conor Hartley. Sean Bugler. Declan Monaghan. Shane Carty. It's a bouncing, teasing ball. Micheál Bannigan. Bannigan's got a bit of speed. Bannigan had a bit of space but didn't take the shot on himself. It does come to Sean Bugler. Bugler, that's a really good diving block. That will be a 45. No, it's a wide. Well, I thought that Kieran Kennedy might have got something on that, but the officials disagree.
Yeah, both teams getting on a lot of ball and a lot of possessions, but I think they're maybe a bit slow in getting it up the pitch. Maybe too many hand passes around the middle third, playing sideways passes, etc. Whereas the guys inside will be looking for quick balls, so I think both teams need to speed it up a little bit.
And the officials were absolutely right. It was a wide. It didn't get a touch from a UCD player on the way out. Stephen Carthy gave it off to Kevin Flynn. Surging on is Jordan Morrissey. Morrissey lets one go. And it's a second wide.
And Shane Carty has actually been very impressive so far in the opening few minutes. He's got on 4 or 5 possessions. It's great to see him getting back playing football and enjoying his football. I'm sure with Desi Farrell coming back with the Dublin senior footballers, they'd be looking to try and get in with them later in the year.
Pumped long by Gary O'Rourke from Cavan. Almost getting a mark in the centre where DCU. Shane Carthy gets in to try and scoop it up, but instead gets it outside to Kevin Flynn. Now there is a bit of space to exploit. Brian Stack, the Roscommon man. Stack is fouled on the way through. Really hard running, really clever play from Brian Stack of St. Bridget's.
Yeah, that was better play by DCU. The quick hand pass out by Shane Carty, and they were a lot more direct attacking UCD there, taking on their man and trying to win the free, and Brian Stack did very well there.
Brian Stack and Stephen Cohen, Roscommon versus Mayo. David Garland, Donamoyne in Monaghan, pops it over. Scored 1-2 against Queens the last day. Gets his first point of the game today. Lovely stroke to finish that, wasn't it?
Yeah, really nice strike there, and for any left-footed free taker, it was the perfect place to get your opening score from the game, and that's just settled them down nicely.
Well, you can't say that UCD are in a rush to take the kickouts. Every time Gary O'Rourke has taken his time over it, and it's definitely not by accident. It looks deliberate. They win a free in the middle. Can they turn? It's Barry McGinn. McGinn from a tight angle. And it was a bit wild in the end. First wide for UCD.
Yeah, and you can see Evan Comerford coming out with the ball straight away. It's straight on the tee, and he's looking to get the ball out as quickly as possible. Trying to hit out to the wings to his left-hand side.
Ball into the path of Micheál Bannigan. That's a really good take by Paddy Small. Paddy Small trying to get around Mike Breen. And he's overcarried. It's a free out. Well, that would be worth a look again.
Yeah, it looked a bit harsh to me now on the first play, but you got to give the benefit of the doubt to the referee there.
Well, they're closer to it, and by and large, they get it right. Here is Barry Dan O'Sullivan. Liam Flatman is running, but Gary Walsh is there as well. Gary Walsh has options. Gary Walsh wins the free in. Let's have a look. Was this a foul? This is the play from a couple of seconds ago.
I think it was, yeah. Just he came in from the side there with 2 hands. I think if he'd been leaning with the inside hand and going in with the tackle that side and not with the left hand, he might have got away with it. But in my opinion, I think that was a free for Paddy Small and DCU.
Ray Connellan. That's a very good point, the equaliser. Evan Comerford bouncing it in front of Brian Stack. And that's a really neat turn by Brian Stack on the bunker side. Floats it off to Bannigan. Over the top it goes to Paddy Small. DCU trying to keep it alive, and eventually it's picked up by Brian Stack. Now it's off to Shane Carty. Monaghan. Sean McMahon. Carty. DCU with 14 behind the ball. Jordan Morrissey. They're really good at protecting that scoring zone. Sean Bugler came running forward. Kevin Flynn wants it inside, doesn't come to him. Instead, it's short to Paddy Small. Paddy Small plays a little 1-2. Good movement between him and Bugler. Donoghue goes backwards. Well, it looks like DCU Dóchas Éireann aren't going to take any risks that they don't have to take. All the way back it goes.
Here we go, Connor, stay in the place. Okay, tackle, Ray, big tackle now, here. Here we go, Gary.
I think from DCU's perspective here, they just need to be patient with the ball and not to rush it. And then when the opportunity presents itself, to maybe go a bit more direct and try and run in clusters together, whether it's hand passing, and try and open up UCD. But you certainly don't want to be getting frustrated here and kicking the ball away, because that's exactly what UCD will want.
Jordan Morrissey hunted down by Barry McGinn and gets the free. Well, they seem to be very, very patient, and they don't seem to mind waiting, and they're drawing UCD into tackles and kind of waiting for the frees to come.
Yeah, and I'm sure DCU would have expected this and spoken about this in the dressing room over the last couple of days. You know, having that quality full forward line that they have, teams are always going to be a bit more defensive when given the opportunity. They're not going to allow any pockets of space in front of their full back line. So I'm sure they would have worked on this over the last number of weeks.
Well, you can see in that particular movement, Barry McGinn kind of lost his patience. DCU, the extended squad watching on the subs tonight. Quite a lot of talent on that bench. Well, McGinn might be punished for his petulance. Yellow card for Barry McGinn. You can perhaps hear John Dibley encouraging his troops. Bugler goes outside. Shane Carthy. On this near side, Declan Monaghan was in acres of space. That's a forward mark. They might get him behind. That's a little tug back by Martin O'Connor of Wexford. And he'll pay the price, because that will be a free in.
Yeah, you can see there with DCU that they're trying to spread the ball as wide as possible. Declan Monaghan out here, number 7 on the left-hand side, was hugging the sideline, and Simmery, the wing back on the far side as well. So when you are coming up against that sort of blanket defence, you're trying to keep the ball as wide as possible and make it as difficult for the opposition. And certainly been impressed with Micheál Bannigan. He's had 3 or 4 good possessions in dangerous areas so far, and he's an opportunity here to get a score.
Should put this one over. Over it goes, over the black spot, and DCU Dóchas Éireann take the lead.
Let's go, Power Boy! On the right!
All the points coming from frees so far. Be patient, this game will open up.
Go.
That's a good surge by Martin O'Connor. Tadar O'Cuffig-Byrne shakes off his man. Forward it goes to Martin O'Connor, who made the underlapping run. Won the free. Just stuck his head down and ploughed on, Martin O'Connor from Bunclody in Wexford.
Yeah, it was a great run for him. He actually won the kick out himself just outside his own 21-yard line, and he must have ran a good 80-90 yards up the pitch and got the ball back from Tadar O'Cuffig-Byrne and won the free. So it's always good to see cornerbacks run up the pitch like that, because it keeps the opposition corner forwards that bit more honest, having to chase them back. Not every cornerback does it, but I think it is a good asset to have in your team.
So from the ground for the first time, Gary Walsh from Ballynylan in Laois. Scored the goal that kind of finished off St Mary's in the end in extra time. Undercooks that one, but it could still be dangerous. Could still end up in a score. Good block. The shot coming from Luke Fortune. Goes out for a 45.
Yeah, he did well to win that 45 when it landed on him in a nice dummy solo, but I think he probably should have just tapped it over the bar and taken a score. There was a lot of bodies back there. It'd be very difficult, I think, to beat Evan Comerford and a couple of defenders with that many bodies in front of you. So I'd say you might regret that one.
John Divley coming in to give some instruction to Kieran Kennedy as Gary Walsh has a second go. Gets right under this one, he has the distance. But unfortunately for him, it just tailed off.
Yeah, much better strike compared to the first one there, and he's unlucky there to put it wide. And you see Evan Comerford now with the ball on the tee and getting it out as quickly as possible.
Brilliant work from DCU Dóchas Éireann. The run comes from Carthy. Carthy with a teasing ball inside. Now can he turn? We know he's capable, David Garland, but that's really strong tackling from UCD and Mike Breen. Beaufort, who reached an All-Ireland club final last year. Carry is the shout at Liam Flatman. Barry McGinn lays it off. Ray Connellan. Connellan takes it back. Good hand in there, but it comes to a blue jersey, the blue jersey of Peadar O'Cuffig Byrne, and the free goes in favour of UCD.
Keep it simple, keep it simple.
Yeah, DCU with 2 players back, extra players in their own defence there inside their 45, making life difficult for UCD.
Kieran Kennedy. Running after it is Gary Walsh. Can he get closer to goal? It's a good flick inside for Barry Dan O'Sullivan. Barry Dan O'Sullivan looks to get the pass away. He's isolated. Eventually does get it to Stephen Cohen. He'll have a go himself. Will Conor Hartley. And that's a really, really good score from Conor Hartley of Sarsfields in County Kildare.
Yeah, really nice score. Well worked as well. There was a couple of opportunities for shots there, but they might have got closed down. But you know, 2 or 3 extra passes were played and got it to the right man in the right position. It was a lovely score.
Driving forward now, Jordan Morrissey. Jordan Morrissey taken down just shy of the 20-metre line, and it will be a free into DCU Dóchas Éireann.
Yeah, good response there by DCU. Again, the quick kick out from Evan Comerford, and they were very direct getting up the pitch. I think that's their best opportunity to get a score if they can go as direct as possible, and that hard running has won them a couple of frees inside the UCD 45.
So DCU Dóchas Éireann looking to take the lead again. The strike comes from David Garland, and the white flag is raised. Garland with his second.
Good work, let's go, power, Conor Hartley.
Trying to tidy up is Sean McMahon. He does very well. Monaghan eyes up the posts. Oh, he does not catch that one the way he would have wanted.
Let's get under the break.
Getting as close to carrier work as possible there was Paddy Small. DCU have got it in midfield, and not expecting it was Brendan McCole, but luckily for him it falls to Corcoran. So many counties represented in both teams for DCU Dóchas Éireann. You've got Dublin, Louth, Donegal, Monaghan, Carlow, Roscommon, Cavan, Laois. Many of those counties also represented in the UCD team. Here comes Sean Bugler. O'Donoghue, no, oh. Misses. Con O'Callaghan, a superstar. All-Ireland winning footballer and someone that Dublin hurling fans would love to get their hands on in a good way. Matty Kenny would, I think he'd give anything to have Con O'Callaghan in his squad. He's just one of those people who's brilliant at everything. Not available to UCD tonight, he's got an injury. But he already has enough medals.
That's true. I don't know how many he's won now over the last 3 or 4 years. He's probably lost count himself.
Well, I was going to start listing them, but these games are only an hour long. Brian Stack, who has a few medals himself between St. Bridget's and Roscommon. Provincial and, provincial titles with both. Here's Donoghue, an All-Ireland title with Bridges as well. Bannigan. Making a run was Monaghan. Monaghan maybe should have gone for it himself. Killian O'Shea was there to block it off, and now UCD will go on the counter-attack. They can move very quickly when they want to. McGinn. More options behind than in front, and plays a ball into an area where there was 3-on-1 against.
Yeah, per option there. DCU had enough time to get a couple of bodies back, and they're actually quite good at that. When UCD are attacking, they're able to get guys back in behind their half-back line to clog up any bit of space, so I think it was the wrong option taken there.
McMahon. Bugler. Kennedy. Little slip up from Bannigan, who was running in front of him, but now he's after getting it back to Sean Bugler. Now it is Bannigan. Moves it back to Kennedy. Or Monaghan, I beg your pardon. Brendan McCole. UCD with 14 behind the ball. Shane Carthy wants it for DCU, doesn't come to him. Charging forward now is Brendan McCole. Donoghue moved it off to Shane Carthy. Shane Carthy. They're not afraid to kick past it, which is really good to see. Moved off by Bannigan. Inside it goes. Good take. Is it a good finish? It's a fantastic save. And then it's pushed home, but I don't think it'll count. Well, Paddy Small followed in on top of it, but it was a fine save from Gary O'Rourke.
It was a really well orchestrated goal chance by DCU. Though. Again, they were that bit more patient, and then when the opportunity arose, it was a quick kick pass in and another hand pass, and they were through. And it was a very good save by the UCD goalkeeper, Gary O'Rourke. Garland
hit it at a nice height, but it was still a good reaction from O'Rourke. We've spoken an awful lot about Evan Comerford and Stephen Cluxton tonight, and even in the other goal, Gary O'Rourke, who up to now really didn't get a mention, but he showed he's capable of the spectacular there. Carthy. A goal would really have opened up this game. Monaghan. Carthy. Jordan Morrissey. TCU trying to ratchet up the pace a bit with Kevin Flynn. That's a really good run by Kevin Flynn. Off it goes to Bugler. Bugler over the top. UCD, through sheer strength of numbers, get the ball back. Really good, clever hand in by Ryan O'Toole. Urging patience is Killian O'Shea, who already has a senior county medal with Kilmacud Crokes. O'Toole. Moved out by Killian O'Shea again. There's only one person in there, so they're not going to drop it in, but they will try and run it in. Good take and turn by Gary Walsh. But Walsh finds the route to goal blocked. Does manage to get it away though. That was clever play by Gary Walsh. It was very innovative. Here's Barry McGinn. Again trapped in a corner. Fierce tackling by DCU. Maybe a bit too fierce there from Kevin Flynn. It's a free in.
Yeah, an unnecessary free there to give away. They've done a lot of the hard work by bottling them up. And the UCD have actually taken a quick free.
It's launched. And it's very comfortable for the goalkeeper. Evan Comerford, it was never going to beat him from there. Well, they were going for the point, it dropped short, but sometimes those can be tricky, those kind of dropping balls. Here's Sean Bugler. Bugler still going. Bugler bringing it into a kinder angle and letting it go, and Bugler kicks it wide.
Yeah, I'll be disappointed with that effort. He's well capable of kicking scores from there, and I think DCU would probably like to see him on a bit more ball further up the pitch. But from UCD's perspective, I think their approach and their attacking play is that bit too slow. They're going sideways with a lot of hand passes. They need to inject, I think, a bit more pace to it. We would have seen earlier in the half when Martin O'Connor ran a full 80-90 yards and managed to set up a score, and I think they need to start moving the ball that bit quicker if they're going to break down DCU.
Well, so far DCU have had the best of it, but UCD haven't looked uncomfortable, if that makes sense. Now, on the run is Donoghue. Donoghue cutting inside, finds a sky blue wall. Oh, that's a clumsy challenge on David Garland. He did dip into it, to be fair, but well, we can have a look here.
Yeah, I think it was more awkward than anything malicious there. But in fairness to David Garland there, you can see off the ball, he's making a huge amount of runs there. Not generally getting the ball the first time or second time, but he's making 2 or 3 runs, 30-yard dashes here and there to try and free up a bit of space and look for some quick ball inside. Well,
Luke Fortune, I think, is trying to explain to the referee, Cormac Riley from Meath, that he dipped into him. There wasn't much he could do about it, but he still gets the yellow card. Garland is still on the deck. He is the free taker, so they'll want to get him up and running for this. Micheál Bannigan also a striker of frees for them, so I think either or will be able to pop it over from where the free will be taken from. I think any player on the pitch will be able to put it over from where it is, to be honest, but Garland will continue, and that's good news for DCU Dóchas Éireann. Okay. 4-2 DCU lead. Bannigan with his second. All 4 points for DCU coming from frees so far. Lots of noise coming from the pitch. Everyone wants that ball. Pumped long by Gary O'Rourke, who made a very decent save earlier in the half. Fantastic mark taken by Jordan Morrissey. You can see why the Australians were so interested. Donoghue. Donoghue with a little dummy. Just left behind by full forward Paddy Small, but Donoghue gets it back. 3 around him, so that creates a bit of space for Paddy Small. Paddy Small from a really tight angle. That's an absolute belter of a point from Paddy Small.
Yeah, excellent score there from Paddy Small, but it all came from Jordan Morrissey's high fetch there in the middle of the park. I think UCD goalkeeper probably shouldn't have kicked it out to him because DCU had an extra man around that middle third, but it was well worked up, and Paddy Small showing his class there. Like, he's well able to kick those scores, and you give him a bit of time and space, he'll kick them all day long. DCU just maybe pulling away a small bit and making that possession count that bit more in the last 5 minutes.
And Paddy and his brother John, they've had a tough couple of months, so it's great to see them out on the pitch doing what they love doing. And there's a black card for UCD, and I think it's Ray Connellan. So it must have been something off the ball, but he will now spend the next 10 minutes, the last 4 minutes of the first half, and whatever the injury time is, then the remainder of that time of the second half on the bench. UCD down to 14 for the next 10 minutes.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what these DCU do now to try and capitalise on that extra man. It is a big advantage to have for a 10-minute period. So we'll see if they try and push up that bit more and maybe try and stretch their lead a bit further.
Well, they are running at UCD, so they might find a little bit more space. UCD with just 1 man up front now, the rest behind the ball. Flatman. In support is Hartley. Instead, he goes inside to O'Cuffig Byrne. Now it's Barry Dan O'Sullivan. Barry Dan squirts it out. Somehow manages to find a sky blue jersey. Barry McGinn. Padder O'Cuffig Byrne. He'll take hits all night, and he did brilliantly to win a free there. And they take it quickly. Barry McGinn. Very decent tackle on Luke Fortune. And DCU turn it over brilliantly. Now they go on the counter-attack. Shane Carthy is surging through the middle. He wants this ball, and now he'll get it. Plenty of space for him to run into, and it's 3-on-3 inside. He'll go himself, Carthy, and he will score.
Yeah, really nice score from Shane Carthy. He's a lovely left foot on him, and he's been spraying a lot of really quality ball throughout that half, and he got a really nice score there to finish up the half. He's certainly been one of the most impressive players on display so far in the opening 28 minutes.
Great surging run through the middle by Shane Carthy, a bit like Martinelli for Arsenal last night, but he didn't need a Kante slip. He did it all himself. He was able to get the point. Brilliant stuff. You're having a game of Spot the Arsenal fan now, Barry, aren't you? It is me, as you can tell. So another delay to the kick out here. UCD have a little bit of injury trouble. This is the possible moment of the black card. So that's Ray Connellan, number 11. Watch the top of the screen. There he goes.
Looked harmless enough to me now, but
Rory McCormack from Warren Point in County Down is about to come in for UCD. He's immediately going into the back line. Luke Fortune is off injured at the moment. He's receiving a bit of treatment. Warren Point, well worth a visit, well worth getting the ferry from there to Carlingford, or is it Greenore? In or around that area anyway.
Greenore, I think.
Here comes Paddy Small, close enough to Carlingford. Shane Carthy. Brian Stack. Donahue. Should DCU push on now while they're up against 14?
They should, I think, with that man advantage, or maybe they just want to maybe see out the half and regroup, and then they'll have another probably 4 or 5 minutes of that advantage at the start of the second half. You know, they look somewhat comfortable here with their 6-2 lead.
It will be interesting to see how coaches prepare to play against teams that are down to 14 for 10 minutes. They're essentially power plays. Yeah,
absolutely, and even teams, if they lose a man to the black card, would they maybe try and be a bit cynical and try and, you know, kill the game a little bit for that period of time, because certainly when you're down that man, you don't want an all-out attack going on up and down the pitch like a basketball game.
McCall is going on all-out attack for DCU at the moment. It spills, but it is a free in for DCU Dóchas here, and again strong running yielding positive results.
Absolutely, yeah, they've got a lot of joy from that, and they obviously have 4 or 5 frees already in the half, and this should be another one. But when they go that direct, they're very good on the ball, they've nice control on the ball, and they're drawing those frees very effectively, and it's really standing to them.
David Garland, who's already knocked over 2. Can he make it 3? He has. Really good stuff by David Garland, and it's a 5-point gap heading into the break.
Yeah, 5 points is a considerable lead in the game so far, considering what we've seen there for the first 30-31 minutes. I think it's actually been a little bit more open than maybe the scoreline suggests, but certainly from UCD's perspective, I think they're going to have to look at their game plan and tactics going into the second half. They need to be a bit more direct. They do have quality players inside, but the players just aren't getting quick enough ball into them.
Is fatigue affecting UCD? Do they look tired, considering they've gone to extra time in their last 2 games, and many of their players would obviously have inter-county commitments as well?
Well, that's true. It could be a factor, but what usually happens is teams actually start slow, thinking that they might fade in the second half, and they actually can be quite good in the second half. But I think at this stage now, with 5 points down and a man down for a few minutes in the second half, they'll have to go for it, and they'll have to be a bit more direct, because they'll be going out of the competition sooner rather than later.
And UCD will start the second half with 14 men. They will start at 5 points down. DCU Dóchas Éireann 7 points. UCD 2 points. Let's have a look at some of the first half highlights. Well, the free taking of David Garland has been solid, Barry. It's been a very effective weapon for DCU.
It has, along with Micheál Bannigan and even Brian Stack. They've been very good off the free so far.
Ray Canellan was in the headlines for bad reasons later in the half, but that was a good free early on. Another free here from the man you already mentioned, Micheál Bannigan of Annamullen in County Monaghan. Gary Walsh, well, he's worked hard, but his frees haven't been amazing so far. This was a goal chance. Luke Fortune having his goal-bound shot blocked. Fortune has since gone off injured. But that was a lovely stroked over point. Connor Hartley getting that one. DCU, though, responding anytime that they're asked a question. And they have yielded good results from hard running. They were unlucky not to get a goal here. David Garland denied brilliantly by Gary O'Rourke. The Monaghan man denied by the Cavan man. The Monaghan man not denied here, though. Micheál Bannigan popped it over. Some of their scores have been quite good, including that one.
This was probably the score of the half by Paddy Small, and just shows what he can do if you given the ball at an early opportunity. And then this was a really good score from Shane Carty, who's had a very good half. But I think from UCD's perspective, they need to get the likes of Stephen Cohen, Paddy Coffey Byrne on the ball that bit more. They're not really threatening going forward too much. They're picking up some possessions in and around their half back line, but I think they need to get the ball in more advanced roles.
UCD have to come out and attack, so that should actually make for a very entertaining second half.
Absolutely. I don't think they can afford to play the way they have for the first 30 minutes. Yeah, certainly they may not want to get caught cold in the first 5 minutes because they're going to be a man down, but certainly after that they're going to maybe have to look at a couple of substitutions, start playing 15 players up the pitch rather than having a couple of guys drop back into their own half, because you know, at this stage you're probably thinking that they need to create a goal chance and score to take it. The 5 points is a considerable lead, considering it's only 7 points to do at this stage, so you know, they're going to have to rack up their scoring rate definitely for the second half. A
former All-Ireland winner with Dublin and Sigerson Cup finalist with UCD, and of course a 4-year NUI Maynooth Sigerson Cup veteran Barry Cahill. For now, thank you very much on a cold night on the north side of Dublin in the Electric Ireland Sigerson Cup semi-final. It's half-time between DCU, Dóchas, Éireann and UCD. At the break, it is the host DCU who lead by 5. We'll have the second half shortly, so stay with us.
Crowley. Do you remember you were Crowley?
Yeah.
Cameras.
All horses.
In the Galway. She's doing E&G on Sunday, so then we crew on Monday. She does horse racing, does she?
All she does, yeah. She's staff.
With Iris. How many cameras were there? Is there handhelds on that? This time?
And
Big, or what they are.
there's 4 big viewfinders, side mirrors.
We're off here at half 11, and there's 2 cameras that do half 11 to half 12.
O'Donoghue Hall, I'd say.
Aye?
7, 8 and 8. O'Donoghue Hall.
Yeah.
Camera 806 and 808. 23, they're both handhelds. Or they're both 2-inch viewfinders.
The jib sticks up.
You have a jib and then you have 5 cameras on heads.
Heads.
5 cameras on heads, yeah.
2 handhelds.
2 handhelds.
Seven cameras.
Yeah. So you have
5.
5 on head.
Yeah.
And jib and then 2 on tripod/handheld.
Yeah, but that's one out that crew will have to go over. I'm sure they're going to be doing the main as well. Whoever's on those 2
Whoever's on camera 7.
and 8 have to cross over.
8 is not in the main hall at all. Done the whole thing. 8 stays in this O'Donoghue Hall.
Yeah, but 7,
I'm just going by
yeah,
the
but 7 crosses in.
7 passes in.
Could be one Mary, maybe one. Well, no, I'm just saying.
And 8 is
Yeah.
yeah, probably. Yeah, I would. Yeah.
It's all locked off. Should there be fucking 5 or 6 of them heads? You know, just cross through.
Well, like, you know those things out there.
Now we're getting on. Are we
How are
good?
you now, you will?
We could get the bag closer. Huh? Jason drove it over. We thought he was going to get bogged down. Yeah. I had to drive it. He had to come out. Yeah. Yeah, that's great.
But yeah, do you know, like most of those things now that could change tomorrow, change the day after, and by the time you get there, then it'll be a total different setup.
Sure, fucking 30, so you're probably over there.
What's your contact?
At work.
What a screw back over there,
Jesus, poor game, isn't it?
Huh?
It's a poor game. Here, do you want them? I've eaten them.
No, I'm right.
The chocolate, they're beautiful.
Oh,
Chocolate with almonds.
Do I have any chocolate?
You want to try them?
No, I'm right.
Try them.
No, drink.
Try one.
No, I'm allergic to chocolate.
Right?
We'll see much if you kind of come in here. We're awaiting the second half of the Electric Ireland Sigerson Cup semi-final. DCU Dóchas Éireann with a score and numerical advantage at the break. UCD will start the second half with just 14. Ray Connellan, who scored a point from a free, black carded towards the end of the half. David Garland accurate from frees, as has Micheál Bannigan been for DCU. Paddy Small and Shane Carthy popping over really good points from play. UCD, Barry Cahill, formerly of course of UCD and NUI Maynooth and the Dublin footballers in St Bridget's as well. UCD will probably need a goal at some stage, but they have plenty of goal getters.
They do, yeah. If they just, I think, change their approach and go a bit more direct, they've really good inside forwards there who can cause a lot of damage. Guys of, you know, senior inter-county ability. But I just think they've been starved of possession, and I just think that maybe the game plan and tactics hasn't been conducive to creating those goal chances. But certainly you'd expect that they would need to get at least one goal if they are to try and get back into this game, because you know they're not kicking enough points at this stage. 2 points in 30-31 minutes of football is a poor enough return. So yeah, they just need to, I suppose, try and commit bodies that bit more forward, I think.
For DCU Dóchas Éireann, the temptation might be to be defensive in the second half, given the lead that they have. Probably would be the wrong choice, because UCD could pick them off. Yeah,
I think if you are going defensive, it's something to be wary of. Certainly, I feel that you can keep possession, and that's fine. But you should try and keep possession as far up the pitch as possible. You know, I don't like to see teams or players try and keep possession in their own half-back line, playing it over and back, because you can end up with a sloppy pass or a turnover, and that can give the opposition the opportunity for a goal chance. So I think DCU will try and still be direct, and I think that hard running in the first half has really paid off. They've won a number of frees from that, but you know, I think there will be stages in the second half they will be happy just to keep possession and not to offload possession too easily. Seamus McEnany, the Monaghan manager, Banty as he's known, got Monaghan to a couple of Ulster finals in his last stint in charge. Will hope to get there and go one better this time around. His big shoes to fill in the shape of Malachy O'Rourke, who was so successful with the men in blue and white. A number of players for him to look at on the pitch tonight. A lot of Monaghan players out there, Micheál Bannigan and one or two others for DCU Dóchas Éireann, including David Garland for UCD. There's a bit of Monaghan involvement as well, including Barry McGinn, who got a yellow card in the first half, but has worked very, very hard. UCD have joined us for the second half. Jack McCaffrey, Dr. Jack McCaffrey, I beg your pardon, here to watch as well. And there's a galaxy of stars on the pitch. There's also a galaxy of stars off it. A couple of minutes ago we saw Brian Fenton, Brian Howard is here, and there's many others as well. Yeah, and Jack would have captained the UCD to the Sigerson, I think maybe 3 or 4 years ago. He's still in college, finishing off his medicine and out in, I think he's in Temple Street at the moment as well, and heading out to Kilkenny then as well later in the year. And make a hurler out of him yet. He actually did play for Clontarf in a Division 5 game in hurling a couple of years ago, I think. Imagine being the slow old cornerback. I'm sure that meets Jack McCaffrey. God, you just say, take me off straight away. So UCD start the second half with 14 because Ray Connellan is in the sin bin. They'll play without him for about 4 minutes. They are making a change at the start of the second half. Conor Moriarty of Currahan, County Meath is in. Haven't quite spotted who he's come in for. And the DCU full-back there, Brendan McCall, just seems to be the spare man at the moment there in front of the D. It is Conor Hartley who has gone off, and away we go. UCD need a bright start to the second half. Remember, it is 30 minutes aside at Sigerson Cup level. On a very busy week between the Sigerson Cup, Fitzgibbon Cup, Trench Cup, Ryan Cup. The final taking place next Wednesday night here at the DCU Sports Grounds, and the winner of this will play IT Carlow or Letterkenny. Those two getting underway in about 8 minutes' time in Inniskeen in County Monaghan. We will have highlights available through the GA Higher Education social media channels and of course the Electric Ireland social media channels. It is a free in first up for UCD, and it's a really good start to the second half, already making an impact. Rory McCormack of Warren Point, County Down, he came on at the end of the first half for Luke Fortune. Yeah, exactly what UCD would like at the beginning of the second half here. A bit of a rash challenge there from Sean Bugler, but really good opportunity now for Gary Walsh from Laois to get on the scoreboard and try and cut this deficit back to 4 points.
By Sigerson standards, quite an old player, Gary Walsh, quite an experienced one. Still a lot of football left in him, and they'll hope a few more scores to build on that one. Good score by Gary Walsh. Missed a couple in the first half, but accurate at the start of the second. Lead down to 4 points for DCU.
Here we go, Luke. Well done, Luke.
Ray Cannell off camera is bouncing up and down on the sideline. He's so eager to get back in. DCU Dóchas Éireann showing patience. Recycled out by Barry Dan Sullivan, by Jordan Morrissey, I beg your pardon. Brendan McCole. Measured skipping pass. Well taken out in front. Good movement. It's Micheál Bannigan. Bannigan has to go out rather than into Donoghue. Now it's Brian Stack. Shane Carthy. Carthy with a looping high ball. That's a really good peel off the defender. And it is a penalty.
Yeah, it's excellent play again by Shane Carthy there. He was involved twice in that move. The first time with a nice kick pass into centre forward Micheál Bannigan, and then a long sort of looping ball into David Garland, who was through on goal.
And Garland didn't call the mark, so play didn't stop, but then he was taken down, and it's a penalty. And it's a big moment in this game, because there may be no coming back for UCD if Micheál Bannigan scores this, looking for a third goal in 2 games. A 7-point lead if this goes in. It's Bannigan against O'Rourke. Bannigan does the shuffle. Great save, comes back to Bannigan, who pokes it home. When your luck is not in, your luck is not in, and that is the case for Gary O'Rourke, the goalkeeper. Bannigan pokes home on the rebound, and DCU Dóchas Éireann have a 7-point lead.
Yeah, very unfortunate there for Gary O'Rourke. Made a great save. Just didn't maybe get enough of a hand on it to push it away, or maybe some of the UCD defenders could have maybe got in to give him a hand and try and clog it up. But in fairness to Micheál Bannigan, he was good reaction there and good instincts to go in and knock in the rebound.
The DCU Dóchas Éireann were beaten by UCD in this competition last year. We brought it to you live, and it hurt them, that defeat. There's many of that team back from last year, and they are really, really, really driven to get through this tie if they can. Conor Morrison and Brian Stack among those who are doing their best to make it happen. David Garland was there last year, the corner forward. Out it goes to Kevin Flynn of Selbridge. Thomas Donoghue. Shane Carthy. Inside to Paddy Small. Paddy Small, let's go. And Paddy Small finds the target again. He scored 2 points in this game. Both of them have been crackers.
Yeah, excellent score from Paddy Small there, similar to the score in the first half. You know, as soon as he gets that ball, he is so direct. He doesn't need to take a hopper or solo to compose himself. He's happy to take the shot on straight away, and he was really nice balance to his kicks as well. And that was an excellent score.
UCD are in trouble here.
They are, and I see Ray Cannellan's going to be coming back in now in a minute. So that was a costly 10 minutes for the team, particularly with the concession of the penalty.
They've had 2 really tough games, and just because you've won a tough game or a couple of tough games, it doesn't guarantee anything. UCC beat NUI Galway, and everyone expected them to beat IT Carlow in the quarter-final. And IT Carlow, I won't say caught them, because that would actually take the credit away from IT Carlow. They played well, they deserved their win, but it's so hard to predict what will happen in the Sigerson Cup. Luke Fortune is back in for UCD. Has a bit of a shiner as well, but his vision not affected. Martin O'Connor. Tyler O'Cuffig Byrne. UCD need an instant response, trying to get away. There was Barry Dan O'Sullivan. UCD able to recycle it. Stephen Cohen. Killian O'Shea. Kennedy went for a run, but again had to go outside rather than in. UCD win the free in there. Very clever play, and Ray Cannellan is back in the game, so they're back up to 15.
Yeah, it looked like a harsh free to me, blown by the referee there. I didn't think the defender did a huge amount wrong, but I think for DCU's perspective, they just need to keep their discipline, try and avoid giving away handy frees that might give UCD the opportunity to edge back into the game, because they have looked very comfortable for the first 35 minutes of this game.
DCU Dóchas Éireann, 4-time champions in the Sigerson Cup. Can they get Ray Cannell into this? They can. UCD, it's going to drop in more by accident than design, and it's just punched out. Trying to get to the end of it was Ryan O'Toole, but he couldn't. Dóchas Éireann on the counter-attack, and they have plenty of runners. Donoghue is one of them. Bannigan to Donoghue. Stepping inside was Paddy Small. Releasing the shot was David Garland. That's a wonder score. Garland has scored 3 from place balls. That is first from play of the night.
He's after giving the point all right. It looked wide to me, in fairness. I had a good line on it here. He struck it well, but I just felt it tailed to the near post and wide. But
well, we will have a look at that one when the ball goes dead. UCD on the counter-attack. They need goals, and they need them quickly. They have a free. Stephen Cohen. Well, it counted as a point, so it was a wonder score by Garland. We will have a look at it in just a second. Ball drops into the path of Ray Cannellan. Cannellan, who might feel he's got time to make up here, gets it out to Conor Moriarty. Moriarty inside. Walsh. Walsh is caught up there. Ball spills out, and it's connected really well by Monaghan.
yeah, that's really good defending by DCU.
And a needless free committed there. Stephen Cohen dragged down. UCD get it going quickly. Barry Dan O'Sullivan didn't catch it right. Well, David Garland, it will go down as a point, it will go down as a wonder score, but Barry Cahill was at a point.
No, I don't think so. I think it was a foot or two wide on the near post, in my opinion. Not that it looks like it's going to have an influence on the result.
Shane Carthy. Running through the middle is McMahon. DCU tearing them apart again and again. It's David Garland. I don't think there's going to be any doubt this time. That one's over. Garland with 2 good points from play in a row, 5 overall. And DCU Dóchas Éireann are absolutely cruising.
They are, yeah. They've really gone into the game now after a sluggish enough start, probably for the first 10 or 15 minutes. They seem to be getting their scores a lot more easier now. Just that direct ball again. Shane Carty was involved in the build-up play, and certainly David Garland is looking very dangerous now at the moment.
Cohen. Good take. UCD getting in behind. They desperately need a goal. Can Ray Cannella provide one? Evan Comerford doing some tidying up, and now it's into the path of Monaghan, who gets it out to David Garland. Back inside his own 20-metre line, having just scored 2 wonderful points. This DCU team are really hard workers. And before the game, I asked you if it was a disadvantage that their game against Queens was so one-sided. That game was done at half-time. So I imagine they didn't have to expend a whole pile of energy. So it's actually turned out to be a big advantage.
Absolutely, they do seem to be the fresher team tonight. They started that better in the first half and really improved as the half went on. Whereas you'd have to say the opposite is the case with UCD. They just haven't got going at all. And obviously the exploits at the weekend and having to go to extra time, second game in a row, seems to have taken its toll on them.
And that was only on Sunday, just to remind people. Last Sunday, UCD taken to extra time at home against St Mary's, who beat them last year in the semi-final down in Mallow. St Mary's went on to lose against UCC in the final. UCD, St Mary's and UCC all, well, either out or heading out. UCD not done yet. There's still an awful lot of talent in that team, and there's still, Barry, 20 minutes to go.
Yeah, but I think they have to start looking to try and engineer some goal chances. So they want to try and get back into the game. 3 points in over a 40-minute period is a very poor return so far.
Well, it looks like all 4 semi-finalists from last year will not make the last 4 this year. That's a wild punt, and it was off target. Rory McCormack from Warren Point.
Yeah, well, they've nothing to lose at this stage. I know Ray Connellan there probably turned down a point a couple of minutes ago and tried to go for a goal chance, and I think they'll just have to try and do that to try, if they want to get back into the game.
Well, they're having a look at something. In fairness, the officials have been very good to pick up off the ball stuff so far this evening. And they've largely made the right decision on things. I mean, I know you're doubting one of the Garland points, but we're fast enough to jump on officials when we feel maybe they've got things wrong. We very rarely credit them when they get it right.
Yeah, and there seems to be good communication lines between the umpires and the linesman and the referee as well, which is good to see.
Gary Walsh being spoken to, the UCD corner forward. Yellow card. No doubt he can play a big part for Laois this season. Managed now by Micheál Quirk, former Kerry star. And of course he has the basketball influence as well, a former Super League player, former teammate of Kieran Donaghy for the Tralee Tigers. Roaming forward and drifting in behind is Brian Stack. It's not the ball that they give. DCU win the free in.
And I think Evan Comerford, the DCU goalkeeper, might be coming up to hit this one.
Well, he has largely been a passenger tonight. What he's had to do, he's done well. Standing over it at the moment is Shane Carthy, but Evan Comerford is taking his time to get up there.
Be interesting to see at the weekend with Dublin and Kerry, with Stephen Cluxton out, whether Evan Comerford will start under Desi Farrell's first Alliance League game, or will they give him a break and let him focus on the Sigerson final? All going well for DCU tonight.
And those 2 games don't clash at the very least. The final is until next Wednesday. That one's floated high in the sky. And that is on frame. That's a sweet strike by Evan Comerford.
That was an excellent kick. He cleared the bar easily there. He's a really nice striker of football. And it's a real asset to have for any team if your goalkeeper can come up and kick frees from 45-50 yards.
Rory McCormack got it forward. UCD trying to get in behind. Kennedy is making a run. O'Toole puts it inside. Stephen Cohen. Cohen over the top, bounces into the path of Barry Dan O'Sullivan. Has a look up, thought about dropping it in, but in the end keeps possession. DCU getting players back so quick. Here is Peadar Ó Cuffig Byrne. Great run by Peadar Ó Cuffig Byrne! Oh, hooked it wide.
Excellent run by Peadar there. Just shows exactly what he can do when he gets on the ball in those positions. I think from UCD's perspective, they probably just would have liked to get on a couple of more of them maybe earlier in the game. It was just a bit off balance when he was taking the kick, but it was a really good 30-40 yard run.
He probably knew if it was anywhere near Comerford was going to save it. Those two would have come up against each other in Dublin training and come up against each other possibly in Dublin club matches as well. So he had to put power behind it. He had to direct it away from Comerford, but just kind of hooked it too much. As you say, Barry, probably off balance as he struck it. But that would have been a wonder goal. 14 points to 3 when you make the conversion. 11 between them, 15 to go. Over the top it goes for Bannigan. Bannigan is fouled, it's a free in.
You could definitely see Bannigan getting a lot of Alliance League action, I think, this year under Banty. Very impressed with him tonight. He's well able to drop deep on with a ball like that and connect and link the play with the guys inside. Obviously well able to kick a score as well, so I think he's certainly one to watch over the next few weeks.
Well, by all accounts, Tommy Freeman, who excelled under Banty first time around, is not done yet. He'll be playing for his club in Croke Park this week. UCD about to make a double change, warming up our Fiachra Clifford from Lone Rangers in Kerry, and also coming in Sean Egan from St. Bridget's in Dublin, your own club. Player you know very well, Barry.
Yeah, Sean's a really good guy. He's a bright future. He's just turned, I think, 21 there recently, so he's the guy that we'll be looking to in the club for the next few years, definitely.
John Divley continuing to encourage his troops. He will never, ever, ever give up. Charging forward is Sean Bugler. Bannigan turning and twisting. Loses it. Referee says play on, but it is DCU who get it back, and running inside is David Garland. Really good dive in there from, I think it was Flatman who got something on it. Gave away the 45, but it would have been far worse had a Garland collected clean possession. Evan Comerford is strolling up the park.
Yeah, I think it was Flatman there from Kilmacud Crokes there who just got a hand in at the very last second. So it was really good defending on his part.
Good return from Bannigan today. Got a little bit of luck with the penalty. It rebounded into his path and he poked it home. He showed a poacher's instinct. So here's Comerford. He's already knocked over one. Comerford, again, nothing wrong with the elevation, but this time it's just wide. Carlow a point up against Letterkenny IT in the game that started at 7 o'clock in Inniskeen. That, of course, another Electric Ireland Sigerson Cup semi-final. There'll be clips and highlights available through the Electric Ireland and Higher Education GA social media channels a little bit later. UCD need to find a way back in. Ryan O'Toole tries to make that happen but can't. That's wide.
Yeah, I think with DCU now there's just a case of trying to see out the game, not do anything silly in terms of their discipline, or even with guys who might be carrying knocks from the weekend, try and manage the players as best as possible. It'd be a disaster for any of the players if they ended up picking up a knock in the final 10 minutes that could rule them out for next week.
Brian Stack took the ball uncontested in the middle of the pitch. It tells you everything you need to know about UCD. They are just jaded. They look dead on their feet.
They do, yeah. They look extremely leggy. I mean, you can't fault their effort and their endeavour, but you can just tell that there's no freshness about the players there tonight. There's no energy in them whatsoever.
DCU Dóchas Éireann coming forward. Declan Monaghan looped off to Kevin Flynn. Even when they were absolutely home and hosed against Queens, Paddy Christie, the manager of DCU Dóchas Éireann, was shouting, "Don't let up, don't let up." And it's the same tonight. They are not letting up on UCD.
Yeah, it's a really good trait in any team. If you do pick up a bit of a lead, that you keep going at it and you don't let up and get into bad habits. And certainly at the weekend there, to push on and score 7 goals is something you don't see too often at this level. So, and you know, their work rate and their standards hasn't dropped in the last few minutes.
David Garland pops it over again. 3 beautiful points from him in the second half. And Banty, who was in the crowd, must be very, very excited. Ray Connellan. Really good takeout in front. Stephen Cohen moved inside. O'Toole loops it off for Mike Breen. Breen fumbles but does get it into hand eventually. Trying to get away from Shane Carthy. Another fine diving challenge in there. Really good dispossession. Their tackling is excellent, DCU Dóchas Éireann.
Yeah, and Declan Monaghan from Clontarf has been really good as well. That was an excellent dispossession by him. He seems to be very disciplined in the tackle and gets his hands in and gets his hands out and is able to turn over the ball a number of times.
What is it about Clontarf and wing backs? Conor Morrison from St. Eunan's in Donegal. Michael Murphy, of course, the Donegal footballer and still Donegal footballer, in charge of Letterkenny. who are playing against IT Carlow this evening. Murphy, I'm not sure if he'll be in action for Donegal this weekend. They open up their league campaign against Mayo. Here comes Sean McMahon. That's a really good charge through. They could be in for another goal. It's Garland. Great save. Really good save by Gary O'Rourke. A second decent save for O'Rourke tonight. Well, a third really, you could say, because he was unlucky with the penalty. He saved the penalty itself. It just rebounded to Bannigan, who poked it in. But
yeah, that was an excellent save. He was very quick off the line, because when David Garland collected it, he got the shot off extremely quickly. And you know, full credit to Sean McMahon coming through there. He probably could have taken the point or even went for goal himself, but he was very unselfish, passing it to his inside colleague.
Evan Comerford looking for point number 2 for him. Comerford slips but doesn't make a difference. Everything is going DCU Dóchas Éireann's way tonight, and that kind of summed it up, didn't it?
Yeah, I know he slipped on impact there, but it was a really good strike straight over the black spot.
Morrissey popped it off to Tom Fox. Another Kilmacud Crokes man out there tonight. UCD win the free. Sean Egan, drive on is the call from John Divilly. 13 points between them. Mike Breen, you have to go at them, John Divilly says. And he's right as well. Killian O'Shea. Well, 2 off to Mike Breen. 14 behind the ball for DCU Dóchas Éireann. Ray Connellan trying desperately to find a way through. Got it outside to Sean Egan. Every pass when they get up to the 20-metre line is outward for DCU. It just goes to show how compact, or for UCD, I beg your pardon, I knew that was going to happen at some stage. For UCD, DCU were just so compact. They get in, they block the space, and then they break very quickly.
Yeah, and they're hunting in packs as well. There's usually one guy going in for the tackle and a teammate beside him who can come in and try and dispossess as well. Sometimes even a third player. So they've been very disciplined in their tackling, and bodes well for next week. It's been a very impressive performance right throughout the pitch, from Evan Comerford all the way up to David Garland in the opposite corner.
Kevin Flynn jogging onto this one. 1-1 against Queens. Drops it into the corner. That's a really, really good take by David Garland. He's a live wire. And he's won the free in.
Yeah, and there's no sign at all of DCU putting the brakes on. They've continued to push forward. They continue to try and get the ball into the guys inside and get a few more scores up onto the scoreboard.
Stephen Smith of Skerry's Harps will get a run. A very, very decent forward. And also coming in, Kieran Dwyer of St. Pat's, Blennerville in County Kerry. Can he hook it over Garland? No, wide on the near side. Stephen Smith intercepted well, got it down the line to Paddy Small. Paddy Small again. He has given an exhibition of point scoring tonight. That is third.
Yeah, another excellent score from Paddy again. No hop, no solo. He doesn't need it. He's well able to just take a sidestep and put it on his trusty right boot and swing it over the bar. He's one of the best forwards around for kicking scores from play.
We expected a heavyweight contest. I think it's fair to say we haven't got it. We have seen a very impressive performance from DCU Dóchas Éireann, but I know we've said it a couple of times. I don't think it can be overstated though, just how tired UCD are given their exploits at the weekend. Here is Martin O'Connor. To be fair, they haven't given up. Awkward ball for the defence to deal with, but that's a great pluck out of the sky by Shane Carthy.
Sean
McMahon. His teammate Brian Fenton watching him tonight. Sean McMahon cuts inside. Sean Bugler. Mark Curran from Dunglow in Donegal. Morrissey.
Keep working, Rhino, too. Keep working.
Shane Carthy waiting in the middle.
That's it, Stephen. Good lad.
Kieran Dwyer. Moved on by Conor Morrison. Dwyer. Very cool under pressure. McCole.
Win it back. Let's get one score. Come on.
Mark Curran.
That's it, Conor. Good lad.
DCU now beginning to press up, but
Keep going, Sean. Come on. Keep it going.
DCU now beginning to drop back, and UCD pressing up.
Keep pressing, Conor. Good lad. Keep pressing.
Morrison. McCole. Comerford. McCole.
I'd say a big regret for UCD was that concession of the late goal there at the weekend that brought the game to extra time, because they did look quite comfortable in normal time. They were 3 points up heading into injury time, and a bit of sloppy play at the back allowed Queens back in to bring it to extra time. So those extra 20 minutes seem to have really taken it out of them. I'm sure they would have given a better performance if they just managed to see out the game in normal time last weekend.
Comerford. But even if they had won that game in normal time as opposed to extra time, it was still a game that would have taken an awful lot out of them. But Barry, like you've been there, you've done it. What's that extra 20 minutes like? How much more does that take out of you as a player?
It does take a lot out of you, but even going back to my day, the Sigerson weekend and the quarter-finals onwards were played over the one weekend. So we would have played quarter-finals Friday, semi-finals Saturday, and then a final on the Sunday. So that's a whole nother level of games playing back-to-back and player welfare and all that issue. But still, you know, you can't compare really, considering what DCU did at the weekend. The game was pretty much over after 15-20 minutes, so you know, guys wouldn't have to push themselves or go into that sort of extra fourth or fifth gear at all. They could start preparing and start thinking about tonight's game well in advance, whereas for UCD it would have taken definitely a number of days to get over that. You know, 85, probably near even 90 minutes in total they would have played on Sunday in sort of winter conditions.
Well, they won't use it as an excuse. Tonight they have been poor, as Jordan Morrissey somehow manages to get it forward, but only as far as a blue jersey. And the last thing UCD will want is a long injury time. I don't think we'll get it because I don't remember too many stoppages in the second half. Jogging forward is Ray Connellan. Don't forget the Sigerson Cup final will be available to watch on the Sport TG Cahir YouTube page. And it will be DCU Dóchas Éireann against either IT Carlow, who are still going for a double. Their hurlers already guaranteed a home quarter final. And their footballers are in semi-final action at the moment. Can UCD finish with the score? Not if Evan Comerford has anything to do with it. Kevin Flynn. Flynn puts the boot down. Garland is in front of him, but he is covered by O'Toole. Still going is Kevin Flynn. Off to Garland. Garland from a long way out to put the cherry on top. Good score from David Garland. 4 from play in the second half.
Yeah, he's been outstanding in the second half, but certainly Kevin Flynn's worth a mention there. He must have ran a good 70 yards there, showed serious pace considering, you know, you're heading into injury time.
115 to 3 points. The final score, DCU Dóchas Éireann with a absolutely convincing victory against a tired looking UCD Barry Cahill.
Yeah, DC were absolutely excellent from Evan Comerford all the way through to David Garland in the opposite corner. Certainly guys that stood out for me would have been Kevin Flynn and Declan Monaghan, the two wing backs, along with Shane Carty, who was a late starter, but he was excellent, particularly in the first 30 minutes when the game was very much in the mix. He linked the game really well and got on a lot of great possession and kicked a lovely point. But Sean Bugler worked really hard, as well did Paddy Small, and Paddy Small was excellent up front. I mean, he's going to be such a handful next Wednesday in the final itself. I'm sure whoever they're coming up against will have to put a plan in place for him. But I think the two other standout guys in the forward line would have been the two Monaghan guys, Micheál Bannigan and David Garland. They racked up a high number of scores and caused the UCD defence a number of problems. Well,
DCU Dóchas here were 5 up at the break. An expected comeback by UCD never happened, and DCU have won this semi-final 115 to 3 points. Barry, take us through the story of the second half.
Yeah, well, UCD just started the brighter, which they had to, even though they were down to 14 men at that particular stage with Ray Carlin's black card. But once this ball was played in by Shane Carty and David Garland got in behind for the penalty, you could see that the writing was on the wall there. And you have to give full credit to the UCD goalkeeper, Gary O'Rourke from Cavan. Was an excellent save, but in fairness to Micheál Bannigan, he showed good reactions to get in, and I suppose that really killed the game off at that stage. It just put that bit of breathing space against UCD, and they were never going to come back from that. I think they got the start of the second half that UCD really needed, and I'm sure Paddy Christie and all his management team will be very happy with that. This is another particular really good score from Paddy Small. If you just get quick early ball into him, he's going to cause them, any team, a number of problems. They got a lot of really good scores from play as well, from place balls, and this was probably Evan Comer's quick is probably his best kick from over the match. This was good play by Peter O'Byrne there, but we just didn't see enough of it in the full game. He's well capable of pushing on there and getting goals like that, but didn't come off from that regard. Again, Gary O'Rourke was excellent there in making that save. He was a busy man tonight with all the different goal chances that DCU would have created, and he's someone that certainly can take a lot of credit from that match.
Well, a convincing win for DCU Dóchas Éireann in this electric Ireland Sigerson Cup semi-final. Their manager, Paddy Christie, is with me. Paddy, Barry Cahill, our co-commentator, said that you'll have been happy with your team's performance. I assume he's right.
Well, it's an improvement on last year. We played them in the quarter-final last year, and it didn't go well. We had a little bit of domination in the first half last year and didn't convert, and then they got on top of us and they just ran riot, and to be honest with you, we had no answer. Whereas this year, I thought from the very start we were on top and we never really relented, you know. Very impressive, I think, and I mean, in fairness, the night that was in, it was open football. It was, there wasn't any blanket defence or that both teams tried to play, but I mean, we were just a bit stronger tonight, that's all.
Your movement was excellent, and getting in behind is something you did really, really well. And as you've already mentioned, the execution, maybe that was the difference between last year's loss and this year's victory.
Yeah, well, a number of chances we had last year went amiss, and they make a big difference, particularly when you're sort of up and coming and trying to make a push through. And UCD are an experienced team, and they've won a lot in the last number of years. So I mean, last year we were a little bit inexperienced, and you needed those to go over. Missed a couple of key frees last year, and a few fellas just didn't perform at all. Whereas this time around, I felt the majority of the group performed tonight. The simple execution, basic skills. When you had chance in front of the goals, a lot of them went over the bar, and that's the difference, really. I mean, there's nothing fancy with the tactics. I mean, people going in behind and coming along the sideline and creating space. I mean, they're all things that good footballers will do if they're allowed play, and we don't go too fancy. We didn't do anything fancy last year, nor did we do anything fancy this year. But we had a slightly stronger group of players, so we felt that we could let them express themselves, and we didn't play any fancy systems. We just went out and played.
They work incredibly hard for each other. They hunt in packs and they break together. Now, it sounds easy when I say it like that, but does that take a bit of crafting to get done, and how difficult is that, considering that you've limited access to these players?
it's just a mentality thing more than anything. I can't take any credit for that, and neither can the rest of the management. In fairness, the lads who are doing the coaching with me put in a lot of work, but realistically that comes down to the players, and that's a state of mind. Tackling and hard work is just in your head, you know. And in fairness, from the very beginning, against Queens last week and against UCD this week, that was, you could see it out there, you could sense it, and no UCD player was going to get out too easy with the ball. So that has to be given, total credit has to be given to the players for that. I can't take any credit at all there.
I assume you're hoping that county managers, guys who are involved in county panels, won't be played in the league this weekend. You'll want them fresh for next Wednesday night back here for the final. Yeah,
in an ideal world you'd like to get that. I suppose it's not very easy, and if it was on the other side of things, you know, and you'd National League coming up at the weekend, you'd have county managers wanting to give young fellas a chance. And I suppose ultimately what we're all in it for, both ourselves in managers of colleges teams and county managers, is for the betterment of the players. And I suppose you'd like to think, as a once-off for a final, that you'd have all the lads available and no one would play. But you know, I don't want to deny anyone a chance either of playing for in the National League at the weekend in the big game. So I suppose there'll be a bit of talking to managers and a bit of bargaining and a few conversations on the phone. Hopefully, what's best for the players will always come true.
You'll have to use that famous Paddy Christie charm.
I don't know about that now, but I mean, like, I think most people who are involved in the GAA are there for the right reasons. So I'd imagine those conversations shouldn't be too difficult. And again, if it's for the betterment of the players, that's all that really matters. Paddy Christie, DCU Dóchas area manager, congratulations, well done tonight. The very best luck in the final. That final is on next week. It will be live on the Sport TG Cahir website and YouTube channel. We'll be back next week on the Electric Ireland YouTube channel with Fitzgibbon Cup action. There is a Sigerson Cup semi-final ongoing as we speak. You can follow that through the Electric Ireland social media channels and of course the Higher Education GAA social media channels, and there will be clips available from it later. From here in the DCU Sports Grounds, it's goodbye, and we'll end by saying congratulations to DCU Dóchas Éireann, who have made the Electric Ireland Sigerson Cup final.
Cheers, boys.